Hello my friends, and today the most challenging situation has developed in the Avdiivka direction. Again, there is advancement by the Russians. But let's start with the loud statement from Zelenskyy about the losses of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. To begin with, it was previously stated that neither side discloses its losses until the end of the war. However, during Zelenskyy's press conference, he was asked this question, and he decided to answer that the losses of the Ukrainian Armed Forces amount to 31,000. So listen for yourself.
Давайте почнемо з моменту. Нещодавно були голоси в радикальній частині деякої американської аудиторії, політикуму, які не на нашій стороні. Вони сказали, а скільки ви хочете ще жертв? Україна втратила 300 тисяч загиблими. Далі була інформація від русських, які сказали, що Україна втратила десь більше 100 тисяч, вони казали, вбитими. І що русські втратили біля 35-60 тисяч, щось таке вони назвали. Це все брехня, по-перше. Все це абсолютно маячня. Кожна людина – це великі втрати для нас. І це дуже великі втрати для нас. 31 тисяча українців загинуло, військових загинуло в цій війні. Ні 300 тисяч, ні 150 тисяч, що там бреше Путін за своїм брехливим колом. Але тим не менш, кожна ця втрата – це великі втрати для нас.
First of all, it should be noted that either the general staff or the president, someone is mistaken, because the general staff claims that more than 400,000 Russians have been destroyed. Also, earlier, Zelenskyy stated in his interview that losses in Ukraine are 5 times less than in Russia. So, if, according to the general staff of Russia, there are at least 400,000 casualties, then if you divide this number by 5, it turns out that Ukraine lost 80,000 soldiers. Therefore, the information here obviously contradicts significantly. So whether to believe it or not, decide yourself. By the way, share your thoughts in the comments on this matter. What do you think is the closer figure to reality? The New York Times also immediately stated that the numbers don't correspond to reality, and according to their calculations, the figure is around 70,000. So, now let's move on to the Avdiivka direction. Overnight, the occupiers managed to advance between Orlivka and Lastachkina. And here, the Ukrainian Armed Forces officially confirmed their withdrawal from the village of Lastachkina.
The Armed Forces of Ukraine officially confirmed the withdrawal from the village of Lastachkino in the Avdiivka direction. Units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine withdrew from the village of Lastachkino in order to organize defense along the line of the settlements of Orlovka, Tonenk, Berdikai, and prevent the further advance of the enemy further in the western direction, said Dmytro Likovy, a representative of the Tavria OSUV.
In fact, overnight, the occupiers advanced 2 kilometers and captured the northern part of the settlement, which is located beyond the river, and now they will try to move further towards Orlivka. From the south, the occupiers are attacking through the fields to encircle Lastachkina and thereby force the Ukrainian Armed Forces to retreat. And, as previously stated, the situation in the area of Severne has worsened. The occupiers have approached as close as possible to the village so their advancement being 900 meters, and the battles for the village continue. The situation is also complex in the area of the village of Berdechy. The occupiers are trying to move closer to this village and are also advancing from Stepove towards Berdechy. So it seems they still have plenty of manpower and they have no intention of stopping after Avdiivka. In the near future, they want to stretch the front line along the Berdechy, Semenivka, Tonenke and Pervomaysky line. At the same time, they are not stopping their offensive actions in Nevelsky. Near Pervomaysky, today only shelling is reported. Overall, in the Avdiivka direction, the occupiers have already conducted 18 attacks, and unfortunately, they seem to have had significant success. In the Marinka direction, there is an incredible increase in activity. It's reported that near Novomykhailivka, the Ukrainian forces repelled 18 attacks, and near Grigorivka, Pobeda and Krasnogorivka, a total of 10 attacks per day. So this is a very high indicator. At the same time, along the entire front line, there is a huge number of shelling. But the Ukrainian forces continue to hold their defense, although it's at a very high cost. In the Vuhledar direction, today there are only shelling without offensive actions. On Zolota Niva, the occupiers don't conduct new attacks and the front line remains unchanged. In the Zaporizhia direction, the occupiers are trying to advance in a new direction. Today, it's reported that they have already conducted 6 attacks on Gulyai-Pilska, but the Ukrainian forces repel them right in the fields, so the Russians have no success. Also, as before, they are trying to storm Rabotine and intensively shell the positions of the Ukrainian forces in the village. With guided aerial bombs, they are trying, like in Avdiivka, to destroy everything that remains so that the Ukrainian forces are forced to retreat. So the situation is very complex in any case, and we are still waiting for the results. There have been no changes along with the front line for the day. So Russian military correspondents describe the situation as follows.
The situation in the Zaporizhia direction of the Dnipro military in the area of the village of Rabotino. Counterattack of the armed forces of Ukraine in Rabotino. The enemy drove our forces out of the center of the village and they again retreated to the southern outskirts. Fierce fighting in and around the village continues.
As seen, the Russians, with their support, are also not doing well, so they only have intermittent success. In the Kherson direction, the occupiers are intensively shelling the right bank, and as before, a large number of strikes are concentrated precisely in the area of the village of Krynky. Attempts to push the Ukrainian forces off the left bank continue, but the Ukrainian forces are not retreating and the foothold remains under the control of our units. Today, Russian military correspondents describe the situation as follows.
In the Kherson direction in the area of Krynky. Today, according to Teplinsky's Newspeak, our troops cleared the village of Krynky twice. Groups from the 328th Airborne Assault Regiment and the 810th Infantry Brigade were sent to clean up. Unfortunately, the mopping up operation failed. The group suffered losses from enemy artillery fire and drones in the woods east of the village of Krynky and, having reached the road between Krynky and the forest, were forced to return to their initial positions, without starting the mopping up of the village.
In the Bakhmut direction, the situation is quite complex. Today, they have already launched 5 attacks. Occupiers are storming Avdiivka, trying to take full control of the village. Battles are also underway for Casualty, and shelling of other populated areas continues. Additionally, strikes are being carried out on Chasiv, and the occupiers continue to shell Konstantinivka. So there have been no changes along the front line in the past day, and the fighting continues. In the Siversk direction, the occupiers continue to shell Belarusian and other populated areas. However, there are no offensive actions, and the front line remains unchanged over the day. In the direction of Crimea, the occupiers, as before, are storming the positions of the Ukrainian Armed Forces in the area of the village of Terny, and shelling continues along the entire front line. So the occupiers are not achieving success, and the situation remains unchanged. In the direction of Svatove, the situation remains tense as before. Meanwhile, in the area of Kupiansk, the occupiers have resumed assaults near the village of Tabaivka. They have already launched 5 attacks, but haven't achieved any success. However, the fighting continues. In other populated areas, only shelling is reported today. Meanwhile, Lukashenko intends to run for the presidency of Belarus for the 8th time in 2025.
Передайте им, что пойду. И если чем сложнее будет обстановка, чем активнее они будут будоражить наше общество, и вас в том числе, для меня, поверьте, это очень важно. Ни один человек, ответственный президент, не бросит своих людей, которые за ним шли в бой. Поэтому чем будут они больше напрягать вас, меня и общество, тем быстрее я пойду на эти выборы. Поэтому вы не переживайте, мы сделаем так, как это надо для Беларуси.
And that's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.